Leda, thank you. And yeah, I can imagine the anguish of parents with children, teenagers, going out onto the streets. You talked about London, but frankly, we could have talked about any other major city in the country, and the problems might not be quite as acute as London, but it's there and it's real. Now, up next is Sarah Pochin, who of course won the Runcorn and Helsby by-election by the vast winning margin of 6 votes. I was pleased because it was 4 before the recount, so we were going in the right direction. Sarah, before standing for us in that by-election, had for 20 years been a magistrate, and I know feels very strongly on the deterioration of law and order in our country. Sarah.
Thank you, Nigel. Good morning, everybody. And thank you, Layla, for your excellent and heartfelt speech. Reform UK now has 2 formidable women that speak with bravery and conviction about what needs to be done to bring back law and order to our streets. As a magistrate of 20 years, I believe I am more than qualified to talk with confidence and experience about the changing face of our courts, our prisons, and our society, and qualified to have strong views on the urgent reforms that our judicial system needs to restore the trust of the British people. During my judicial career, I have witnessed significant changes to the kinds of cases dealt with by the Magistrates' Court. 20 years ago, I would deal with numerous shoplifting cases, but in recent times, individuals being prosecuted for shoplifting just doesn't happen. Why? Because shoplifting has become a crime that the police just ignore. The cost to business, the sheer nuisance factor, the abuse of security guards seemingly powerless to apprehend the perpetrators, all of this needs clamping down on. It doesn't matter whether it's a national supermarket or whether it's our local convenience store. Both matter and both deserve better. We need to restore law and order from the bottom up. No crime is too small to be prosecuted and dealt with. We need to restore discipline and respect in our society. Interestingly, one of the last cases I dealt with was a Romanian OCG, organised crime gang, that was running rampage across the northwest, shoplifting on an industrial scale. A good example of how the courts have become reluctant to administer tough justice. I was advised I couldn't send these criminals to prison because they didn't have a criminal record in this country, and as such could not be given a custodial sentence. I'm sure it won't surprise any of you in this room to know that all 4 were duly sent down immediately under my watch. And yet, of course, now, under this woke Labour government, we are experiencing 2-tier justice, where someone who writes an ill-advised tweet goes straight to custody, possibly for 30 months, even with no previous criminal record, or in fact, any dealings whatsoever with the police. I have 2 Lucy Connollys in my constituency of Runcorn and Helsby, one of whom I visited recently in HMP Kirkham. He was released last week on licence, and the other one is still in there until September. What shocking examples they are of inappropriate, politically motivated sentencing. Furthermore, the rise in antisocial behaviour and sexual violence against women and girls in our communities is alarming. And whether we like it or not, both are related to the influx of migrants from certain countries, particularly Afghanistan and Eritrea. We know that Afghanistani men are amongst the largest group of migrants that commit sexual violence against women. I am constantly accused of scaremongering on this issue by the woke Labour blob, but the British people will not be lied to anymore. We know that we are heading towards a crisis point in our society. And the denial of this by the establishment is nothing short of treacherous. Recent unrest in Northern Ireland and Epping should serve as a stark warning to this government that the British people will not put up with this betrayal for the next 4 years. We also need to restore the confidence of the British people in our police force. We've had enough of woke policing, enough of our police being in denial about the increasing threat to our own safety from the influx of illegal immigrants, enough of police no longer using stop and search to tackle knife crime, enough of police ignoring mobile phone theft, ignoring the rise of blatant cannabis use on our streets, sympathising with protest groups that simply do not reflect the views of the majority of the British people. Police need to police with impartiality. A reform government will address these issues and restore a strong police presence in our communities to protect our citizens. Turning to the courts, I have seen significant changes in the attitudes of our CPS and our probation service over the years due to funding cuts, pressure on the system, and a softening approach to crime. These days, a defendant is often wise to playing the anxiety and depression card when faced with a community penalty, thus removing that sentencing option from the magistrates. 20 years ago, this just didn't happen. Many defendants these days are claiming universal credit or disability allowance, as is reflected in this country's spiralling benefits bill. This makes the amount of any fine imposed or amount of compensation awarded to a victim pitifully low. And yet they all have money for cigarettes, vapes, smartphones, Sky TV, XL bullies, you name it. I've seen it. Those that do receive unpaid work in the community often can't complete it, actually through no fault of their own, but because of our under-resourced probation service. A probation service that this Labour government is planning to load with more responsibilities by the early release of dangerous criminals, a recipe for disaster. I resigned as a magistrate to fight the Runcorn and Helsby by-election. The shocking truth is that even if I had not resigned when I did, and for the reason I did, that being, I believe you can never mix the judicial system with politics, I fear I would have done so by now anyway, because of the two-tier justice this country is now experiencing. But having won that by-election, I am now in this position to speak out with a strong voice on these issues. Whether it's the judicial system, the prison service, the probation service, or the actions of the police, Britain needs reform. People need to feel safe again. Over the next few weeks, I will be fronting up a campaign of law and order policies detailing how Reform UK would restore confidence and trust in the system. Thank you. I would now like to hand over to Nigel, who will talk in more detail about the policies we're launching today.
Great stuff. Thank you very much. Sarah, thank you very much indeed. And yes,